There are two ways to parenthetically document your citation within the paper. Verbatim is one, which means word for word. The other way is to paraphrase, which means to restate the information in your own words. Regardless, you must convey to the reader where you're obtaining your information from by providing parenthetical documentation. Quotations are effective in research papers when used selectively. Quote only words, phrases, and lines and passages that are particularly interesting, vivid, unusual, or apt, and keep all quotations as brief as possible. You want the majority of your work to be your analysis. The parenthetical documentation should help you support your position. Overquotation can bore your reader. It might lead them to conclude that you are neither an original thinker nor a skillful writer. If prose runs no more than 4 lines and requires no special emphasis, put it in quotation marks and incorporate it into the text. In this class, you should never exceed more than 4 lines. When you continue your education, at some point in your junior year of college, you most likely will use more than 4 lines. At this point, special emphasis to the quotation is required. Set your paper off from your text by beginning a new line, indenting 1 inch or 10 spaces from the left margin, and typing a double space without adding quotation marks. Remember that in this class you will never exceed more than 4 lines and will not be required to do this. The following is an example of how to parenthetically document a resource. The example that we'll look at is from a book with one author. The quotation marks indicate to the reader that this was taken verbatim. Burke indicates where it came from, the last name of the author, and 3 indicates the page number where it can be found in the book. Please notice that the punctuation occurs after the citation. The following is another acceptable method on how to incorporate a parenthetical citation within the text. Once again, the quotations indicate verbatim, but this time, John Burke is placed within the sentence. At times, the author may be anonymous. When a source has no known author, use a shortened title of the work instead of an author's name. Place the title in quotation marks if it's a short work, or italicize or underline if it's a longer work. The article is Shark Attack Near Ponce Inlet. It can be found in the Orlando Sentinel. There is no author, the author is anonymous. So what we do when we begin to parenthetically document this within the text, we use a shortened version of the title, Shark. We put Shark in quotations because it's the name of the article. It is found in section A, page 1. This is another example of an author that's anonymous. A turbulent hurricane season is predicted. We leave out the indefinite article and we use the next word, turbulent. When documenting from the internet, we are going to follow the acceptable standards based on the 7th edition of the MLA Handbook.
You're watching 10's Late News. Well, it's either a cunning fake or the first confirmed photo of the legendary creature Bigfoot. This supposedly is a Bigfoot's body, put in a freezer after allegedly being found in the woods of the American state of Georgia. The men who say they discovered it will front the media tomorrow, claiming they also have DNA proof. There have been various photos and films of the mythical half-man, half-ape creature dating back to the 1960s. All of them, though, have been dismissed as fakes.
There are 3 acceptable methods of documenting an internet citation. The first way is simply incorporating the last name of the author at the end of the citation. The second method is to include the last name followed by the paragraph number of the article or source. The third method is to include the name of the author within the text. Ted Johnson, a journalist from USA Today, states, MLA has turned to a style of documentation that is based on a general method that may be applied to every possible source and to many different types of writing. But since texts have become increasingly mobile and the same document may be found in several different sources, following a set of fixed rules is no longer sufficient. The current system is based on a few principles, rather than an extensive list of specific rules. While the handbook still gives examples of how to cite sources, it is organized according to the process of documentation, rather than by the sources themselves. This process teaches writers a flexible method that is universally applicable. Once you are familiar with the method, you can use it to document any type of source for any type of paper in any field. When deciding how to cite your source, start by consulting the list of core elements. These are the general pieces of information that MLA suggests including in each works cited entry. If an element on the list is not relevant to the citation, it should be omitted. Notice that each element is followed by the punctuation mark shown, unless it is the final element, which should end with a period. This table makes it relatively easy to remember when to use a comma versus using a period. The author's name is usually predominantly displayed in the work, often near the title. Begin the entry with the author's name, followed by a comma and the rest of the name as presented in the work, and the entry with a period. This is a source with two authors. Notice that the second author follows the format of first name, last name. This is a source with 3 or more authors. Notice the abbreviation ETAL et al., which means and others. After the author, the next element included is the title source. The title is usually predominantly displayed in the work. The title could be a book title, an article title in a magazine, a website title, the title of a song, etc. When the source being documented forms a part of a larger whole, the larger whole can be thought of as a container that holds the source. The container is crucial to the identification of the source. The title of the container is normally italicized and is followed by a comma. If a title source has a container, the title source will be placed in quotation marks. For example, the novel Cold Mountain is the container. The chapters in the book are the title sources. The shadow of a crow, the ground beneath her hands, source and root are all put into quotation marks because they are part of the container. Another example would be Taylor Swift's album 1989, which is the container.
Players gonna play, and my haters gonna hate, baby. I'm just gonna shake it out, shake it out. Say you'll remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me up, 'cause baby, we got bad blood. You know we used to be bad love, so take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood.
The songs Shake It Off, Wildest Dream, and Bad Blood are part of the container of 1989. Doctor Who is the container. The container, once again, is italicized. The episodes of Doctor Who, The Empty Child, Blink, and Face the Raven, are all titles that are part of the container. These titles are identified with quotation marks. Aside from an author, other people may be credited in the source as contributors. If their participation is important to your research, name the other contributors in the entry. These other contributors may be a translator of a book if it was originally written in another language. If a source such as a film, television episode, or performance has many contributors, include the ones most relevant to your project. For example, if you're writing about a television episode and focus on a key character, you might mention the series creator and the actor who portrays the character. For example, the creator is Josh Whedon. The performance that we'll be focusing on is Sarah Michelle Gellar's performance of Buffy. If the source carries a notation indicating that it is a version of a work released in more than one form, identify the version in your entry. Versions of books are sometimes given other descriptors. The source you are documenting may be part of a numbered sequence. A text too long to be printed in one book, for instance, is issued in multiple volumes, which may be numbered. The publisher is the organization primarily responsible for producing the source or making it available to the public. This particular example is Oxford UP. The UP stands for University Press. With websites, the publisher's name can often be found in a copyright notice at the bottom of the home page or on a page that gives information about the site. Publication date is the date the resource was published. How to specify a work's location depends on the medium of publication. In print sources, a page number preceded by P or a range of page numbers preceded by PP specifies the location of a text in a container such as a book, anthology, or a periodical. If you are using only a book, pages would not be necessary. The location of an online work is commonly indicated by the URL or web address. The core elements of the entry should be included if they exist. However, your instructor may also want the following: date of original publication, city of publication, date of access.